cold, hey Annie? That's how you put gloves on. Oh my god. The struggles of living in winter. So this jacket is by North Face as well, and I paid probably a flight to Mexico worth for this jacket. I think I paid like $400 for it with tax and everything. So it costs a lot if you want to keep warm in the winter time in Regina because it's really cold here. So even though it's only like minus 17 today, with the wind chill and everything, it ends up feeling like minus 30. So it's been like, I don't know, 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and my legs are already feeling cold. So we're probably gonna go head out inside and do the rest of the video inside. Okay, so now it's gonna take 5 more minutes to take off all of this gear and these boots. Anika, on the other hand, she's pretty much naked all the time, so it doesn't really matter. What's up, Vinnie-Turtles? My wifey for lifey mug. My hot tea is in here. It's turmeric because I'm having some gut issues. Number 1 is about the heater bill. So your heater bill in the summer is about, well, for our house, it's about $50 a month versus the $120 to $140 that we pay in the winter. So the winter months being especially January, February, sometimes December, depending on the year and how cold it is. So the colder, the more we spend on heating our house, and obviously the warmer the weather, the less we spend on heating our house. The more we spend on air conditioner in the summertime, but we're talking about the winter. So in the winter time, we spend about $120 to $140 on heating our house per month. Number 2 is mood. So the motivation in the winter time, for me at least, is lower than it is in the summertime. In the summertime, I'm more likely to go outside for a run or something like that, and just random times, or if I wanted to every morning I could, which I did last summer on some of the days. And in the winter time, minus 50 doesn't really seem too appetizing for me anyways, to go out and run, unless you want to layer up and all that good stuff. But for me, my motivation does go down, and I'm less likely to want to go anywhere, or even to want to even go to like the gym, especially like anything that I need to have a lot of energy for. I'm not really motivated in the winter time to go out, and I guess it's because of all the layers that you need to put on, and like the big winter boots, the big winter coat, the big winter gloves, the winter hat too that you saw me wearing earlier. I mean, it's a production to go out. And so I would say my mood in the wintertime goes down. Number 3. So number 3, I want to talk about vehicles. So your vehicle is going to have to work harder in the winter time because it's so cold. So when your car is starting in the winter time, it uses more gas, which then comes out of your wallet, and it takes longer to start up the vehicle, and it takes longer to warm up the vehicle. And if you have snow on your vehicle, overnight, if it snowed overnight and you have snow in the morning and you're wanting to go to work or school or wherever you're going at like 7 in the morning, you have to scrape that snow or ice that's formed on your windows off your car before you drive. So sometimes it's like, are you done, Mashi? Okay. So sometimes I would say I spend about maybe like 3 minutes, 5 minutes sometimes, like taking off all the ice and the snow off my car before actually going somewhere in my car. I actually also have a starter for my car. So that's super helpful in the winter time, especially because your car is going to be sitting out in minus 50 degree weather and you need to start your car and you don't want to wait in a cold vehicle for it to warm up. So it's nice if you have a starter. So you just push your starter on and then you could be inside your house or at work or at school or wherever. And then the car will just start without you having to be physically in it. So that's super helpful. And those usually cost around at least $500 or more, depending on the vehicle. So I would say vehicles cost more in the winter to run and they take longer to warm up in the winter to get to wherever you're trying to go. And because of the cold weather and because of the snow and the ice that forms on it. My cat is going nuts.
Mashi, do you mind?
Okay, so number 4. Number 4 is the overcast. So when you look up, when you get outside and it's like, you know, the sun is coming out, you can tell because it's kind of yellow outside. And all you see is clouds. So that's called overcast. So it's usually overcast for like, let's say at least 4 months out of the year, from like November, December, January, February at least. It's overcast, and sometimes even into March and April it's still overcast. So that can get a little bit depressing, kind of relating to the mood and the motivation in number 2 that I mentioned. But yeah, the sun kind of hides behind the clouds all winter long. So yeah, you need to consider that if you're planning on moving to Regina. 5. So number 5 is how much layers of clothing that you have to wear. Now, it takes a long time sometimes to put layers on. Like if we wanted to walk our dog Annika, I need to put on snow pants, a sweater, maybe like a couple shirts underneath that sweater, a scarf, a toque, some gloves, a winter jacket, and maybe even a face mask. So that's already like 8 things to put on. And how long does that take? And then for the dog, we need to put her snow boots on because we don't want her paws to get, you know, sore from the ice outside that she's going to be walking on for 10-15 minutes. And so it's a whole production to go outside, even just for a walk. So that brings me to number 6. So number 6 is, because it's so cold in Regina, the frostbite that you can get, which is if you don't layer up and you just have your bare skin out for like maybe even 30 minutes or maybe even like 10 minutes outside and it's minus 50 out, you're gonna start to feel like your body is freezing up in a way. Like you'll start to feel like tingling in your body, like especially in your legs, because your jacket is not usually covering your legs. So you definitely can't have any bare skin outside if you're planning on going outside in minus 50. You have to cover up all of your body. No bare skin allowed, or you're going to be asking for frostbite. And my husband, in the first year we lived here, he got frostbite on his ear, and like his whole ear was like swelled up to like here or wherever. And it was just like a balloon right here. And it was pretty close probably to getting amputated off because he had frostbite on his ear because he refused to wear a toque. Because he's a Vancouver boy, I don't know, he just refuses to wear a toque. He's too cool for toques, so. Going on to number 7. So again with the vehicles, there is more actually that you need to do when driving in Regina. So when it's winter time from like, let's say November to April, let's say. I have studded tires on our vehicle. We both have studded tires on both our vehicles. And what studded tires are is they're snow tires. So they're actually called winter tires. Like when you go and buy them, you ask for winter tires and you could say studded winter tires. And then those will be like, I don't know, like $100 something to maybe $200 depending on your vehicle per tire. So times that by 4 tires per vehicle. So we have spent about at least a couple $1,000s on winter tires since living here 8 years ago. Because without those studded tires, I mean, it's like you'd be sliding everywhere and probably getting into multiple accidents if you didn't have snow tires. So it's very important that you have snow tires in Regina for your vehicle. And therefore, it's kind of a con because it's an added thing you need to pay for in the wintertime. Because driving is more difficult in the wintertime here because of the ice that you may slip on and slide into another vehicle. You don't want to do that. Number 8. So you can't go for long dog walks like I mentioned earlier. You have to layer up and all that stuff, but you also can't go for long dog walks because it's freezing outside and your dog is going to be freezing as well, especially if you don't have snow boots on the dog. Like we put a jacket also on our dog when she goes walking, although the last time we put the jacket on her, she actually gained weight from last winter and it didn't really fit her that well. So after walking outside for like 10-15 minutes, and then we realized when we got back home that she no longer had the jacket on. So Annika actually gained weight and she lost her winter jacket, so now we need to replace that as well. For the past 2 weeks, it's been like -30 and she actually hasn't even gotten a walk because by the time it's 5 p.m., it's already like black outside as if it's 10 p.m. at night in the summertime. And it's like you don't really feel motivated to go and walk your dog anymore. It's cold out, it's like scary looking because it feels like it's 10 p.m. at 5 p.m. And you don't want to take your dog out on -30 weather. Like that's ridiculous. So she hasn't been on a walk for 2 weeks. So hoping to get her a walk in sometime, maybe this week. Put her boots on and do that whole production. So number 9 is that if you don't feel motivated to go anywhere in the wintertime, so for 5 months or so, the winter lasts here in Regina from like November, December, January, February, March, and then sometimes even April, it's still cold. You may gain weight. So watch out for that. Make sure you push yourself to go to the gym and make sure that you are motivated or push yourself to be motivated and discipline yourself to go to the gym, to exercise, to keep that extra winter weight off. So this is pretty much my setup. And there's my yoga mat. I'm going to do some yoga and then maybe some aerobics. Oh yeah. So number 10 is if you have arthritis, this place is not for you. It is way too cold for you. Even though it's a dry cold compared to the West Coast cold, where it's more like humid in the West Coast. Here is a dry cold. Saying that, maybe minus 20 here would be like minus 1 on the West Coast where the humidity is like 80%. So that's kind of the difference. But saying that, it still is much colder here, even though it's a drier cold. My husband actually has arthritis, and he is always much colder than I am in the like minus 30 to minus 50 degree weather here in Regina, because it's just too cold. Now I'm gonna switch into the pros of the winter time in Regina, what you've all been waiting for. What you want to hear is the good stuff, right? So let's get down to it. Number 1, you don't feel like you need to be outside and get anything done because maybe you just want to stay inside. It's cold outside anyway, so what's the point? You can't really do anything outside in the minus 50 degree weather. Well, I don't. Anyways, so the good thing about that is because you don't feel like you're missing out on anything if you don't do anything outside. So in this case, you feel okay staying inside, and maybe you can just bake food all day. I don't know, or you want to cook food all day and just, eat. And that's also another way you gain weight, which is what I've been doing. Or other than that, you can watch movies or just relax indoors. So that's kind of a good thing about the winter time, is you don't feel the need to go out and do things. Number 2. So number 2 is you don't spend too much on buying things to do outside because there isn't anything to do in the cold, really. Unless you like skiing, snowboarding, tobogganing, or something winter like that. But otherwise, you do save a lot of money because you're not out and about like you are in the summertime spending on things that you shouldn't. Number 3. So number 3 is, thankfully, you can fly to somewhere hot and have a vacation somewhere like, Mexico or something like that from Regina. You get to just take a week or 2 off in January, which is like the really coldest month of the whole year. Every year is January and February. So if you can get like a week or 2 in January and February and just fly out to somewhere like Mexico where it's really hot in January and February, and then you can kind of get away from the cold if you want to think about it that way. So that's kind of a good thing. Now, number 4. If you are studying and you're in school, and you do have less distractions in the wintertime because there's not so much to do outside, it's cold, and so you might as well just study, right? Less procrastination I find in the wintertime versus summertime where it's hot out and you just don't want to study, right? Because I am a student also, so I can relate. Number 5. Number 5 is watching the snow fall and when it comes down. I feel like watching the snow, like for me, it's very relaxing and it's kind of like therapeutic watching the snow fall. Unless you're scared of driving in the snow, then you're probably going to be scared when you see snow coming down because it's hard for you to drive. But if you're comfortable driving in the snow, overall, I think it's a really pleasant sight to see snow coming down, especially in Christmas time when like early December, you're like, oh, it's gonna be a white Christmas, yay. Some places like, that are really hot all year round, like California or something like that, like they don't really see snow that much. So it is kind of a good thing that we can see the snow and see when it's really fresh snow and everything in the morning, you wake up and everything is white. Like that is a pretty sight. I really enjoy seeing that. Number 6 is you get to dress up in the winter clothing or winter clothing. Most women, I guess it's a women thing maybe. They love to dress up and you can't really dress in like sweaters and coats and stuff like that if you live in California, because it never gets cold there. So you can't really dress up there. But in Regina, because of the winter and the cold weather, we are able to do that, and it is kind of a fun thing, I guess, if you like winter boots and you like those nice trench coats that you can wear, and wool coats and all that stuff, and those high knee cut boots that you can wear. So it's kind of a fashion thing, I guess. If you're into fashion and you like dressing up in the winter time, then you might like it. So number 7 is, if you like reading, then the winter time allows you the time to read. So you can catch up on all the books that you want to read. You can also catch up on maybe TV shows or movies that you've been wanting to watch all year in the summertime, in the wintertime. If you have anything that you wanted to add to this video, please comment below. Let me know if I missed anything. Or if you like this video and you want more about Regina, let me know. That's basically it about the weather in Regina in the winter months. It's kind of dreadful, but there are some pros, as you saw in this video. Basically, you're gonna be getting out of your car really quickly, going and walking to the facility where you work, and getting indoors as soon as possible because it's super cold during the winter time. So we just got to the movie theaters on a Thursday, and it's pretty empty because it's like -50.
Thursday.
And it's Thursday. And I'm just gonna show you how fast we run from inside the car to inside the theaters because it's freaking freezing outside. All right, I got my Starbucks. Let's go. We're here. My fingers are freezing. And we're in. Oh, doesn't that feel better? Doesn't that feel better? It's movie time. We're gonna go see Jumanji with Kevin Hart. And what's that big guy's name? What's his name? The Rock. Oh, I want to see that. Like a boss. How far can you go? See, let's see.
That's it.
That's it? It's pretty boss. There's more. And the screen. Nobody's here yet, so it hasn't started. There's like someone watching me film. Pretty awesome. New theater in Regina. You can't see the ones over there, but there's more. Matt has happy feet. Wow. Let me get that thumbnail. Say cheese.
Turn the lights off and stand in a cold shower for 20 minutes.
That's the description of putting gas in the car.